Wait, what is this shit?
The Not Safe for F***ing Worker Placement podcast.
I flipped the board. I despise that game. Oh, shit. That's how much. Oh, wait.
Hello and welcome to the pilot episode of the Not Safe for Worker Placement podcast, a board game podcast brought to you by me, Ben.
And me, Leeandra.
And we're married, and we're here to talk shit about board games. So, I don't know really why we decided to throw our hat into the ring of podcasts, board game-based ones in specific, because they're kind of saturated. So it'll probably end up being a burning ring of fire that we go up in flames in, or it could be that brass ring which we grab and ride to the top. But this was my lovely little wife's idea to do this. Why did you have this idea, babe?
Well, we were driving home from Arkansas, and we were listening to that other cute little couple, Totally Married, I think, podcast, talking about their business. And I thought that was super cute and mentioned that maybe it would be fun for us to do a podcast about gaming, as that's something that we do together.
And here we are. So I've been part of a few other gaming podcasts that never really saw the light of day, and I've had a lot of fun doing them and editing them. And so hopefully something we can bring is a high level of audio quality, and that's just going to get better as we go. So we're going to start out like every other podcast. I'm going to take the best parts of the well-worn blueprints, at least the parts that I like, of the best podcasts, and we're going to start out with games that we've been playing. So I think the first thing we're going to talk about is Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. So
yes,
we played that about a week ago, right?
Yep.
And I got this off the trade table at Geekway. I got very lucky and got the first pick at the trade table. So I picked it up with the base box and all of its expansions. So I was anxious to get it out because it's got the app and everything. Because when we first got into gaming about 3 years ago, after we kind of but started with D&D and moved into board games, I would get Fantasy Flight games, and Leeandra would look at the little catalogs that come in them, and she kept pointing to this one game, right? You should get this game, babe. You should get this game. It was Mansions of Madness. So I got the first edition, and lo and behold, I spent like an hour and a half setting it up and learning it and making sure I got every card right as the Overlord and all that. And we played it, and she
got
hated
our
it.
asses kicked.
Well, you were the only one that playing. It was me against you.
Got my ass kicked.
So, and you were like, yeah, I hate this game. And it like happens a lot. So I was like, well, great. Now I have this big, cool box of stuff that we're never going to play again. So anyway, now that the 2nd edition utilizes the app to run everything, everybody can play together. And we usually do a lot better with co-op games, than anything else. As far as one versus many, we don't like those kind of games really. So set it up, and I'd played it a couple times before, and I liked it. We set it up with Lee and our friend Vaughn, who you'll probably hear about a lot. And we commenced to do what, babe?
Oh, that was last week. I have to remember last week. We did not win.
Yes.
We totally did not win. Again, I don't think I've ever won a game of Mansions of Madness, ever.
No.
But the three of us played, which was nice, because then the bad guy was on the iPad thingy, and so that worked out well. So we had 3 players instead of just me. But we still lost. You were the last one standing. Vaughn and I died horrible deaths in the very beginning, and
it wasn't the very beginning. It was quite a way. We're like an hour and 45 minutes in. So.
Yeah, so we still had a ways to go.
Oh yeah.
And then come to find out that where we needed to go was one of the first doors that we went to that we ignored. Oh, let's not go that way. Let's turn around and go the other way. And then, what do you know? You're left by yourself going through that door we had an hour before.
Yep.
And still died.
See, I think I've learned something from playing this game. I played it again right after that with a friend of mine, 2 players. And I go into it with the idea of like Dungeons and Dragons, never split the party, right? Like, stay together. Wrong idea. I think the only way to play this game is with it gets harder the more people you have. I think 3 is about right, but you got to split up because you have to cover all the territory. That's what I learned. Is like you can't leave a stone unturned in that game. You have to look at everything and check everything out, because the one thing you don't check out that you say, we'll just leave that, it's not important, that'll be the one thing you need every single time. So, I want to play again, and I want to go in with that strategy of just cover as much ground as fast as possible, because it's not like you really need multiple people to fight every monster. You can usually fight them yourself, So, anyway, that's Mansions of Madness. So what did you think about it? I know you immediately said, this sucks. We had just the same result as last time. But
it was still fun. This time around, this new edition was a lot more enjoyable having you to play with me rather than you just being the puppeteer of all the bad guys. It was literally just killing me. So I enjoyed that a lot more.
Cool. So we might actually get to play this one again. Okay. So, that's Mansions of Madness by Fantasy Flight Games. And, as we go, I might remember to actually say the names of the designers and stuff. As of that one, I forgot to do it. But I might throw it in editing or something. Or I might just pull out my phone right now and try to see if I can figure it out slowly and surely. The designer is Nikki Valens. And it's got a whole buttload of artists on it. Just great art. Like all other Arkham games from Fantasy Flight, I've played every single one, and they're all great. Except for Arkham Horror, but everybody knows that. So, moving on. We played Near and Far by Ryan Laukat and Red Raven Games. I love every game that he's ever made. I've had every one except for his very first game, Empires of the Void. I hadn't been able to get a hold of that. But I played 8 Minute Empire and Above and Below and
Is
Islebound.
Above and Below the one that had like the sailboats at the bottom?
No, that's Islebound. Yeah, Islebound is very similar to Above and Below, but I mean all by the same designer, all the same kind of artwork and stuff. They all kind of take place in the same universe. The Near and Far was the one that, Above and Below was like Near and Far, where it had the book that you read out of, but only when you went into the cave system. Remember that you go down in the caves and then you do that. Well, okay, so that's sort of what he does. Is he takes Euro games and he uses the same mechanisms from game to game and kind of changes them a little bit. And they're usually not too hard to understand, but I found that Near and Far so far, we only really played like 3/4 of a game and we had to stop because it got to be dinner time and we'd been playing all day. But it seemed the smoothest of anything that he had made so far, and the integration of the Euro game was actually good. Didn't you think? Like getting the resources and turning them into other things,
Yeah, it's a fun game, and I love the artwork.
Yeah.
I really enjoy looking at all the little people, the little squares at the top. Those little guys. What are those guys called? Those
the little standees?
Yeah. Those guys are cute. But yeah, the artwork's really fun, and I struggled at first with it because I couldn't figure. There's so many different things that you can do. You can get this resource, get that resource, go down below, and go on quests, and so it took me a little bit to figure out the right path that I wanted. You boys were already had done like 3 quests, and I'm still up at the top trying to get some stones or whatever it was.
I saw you getting frustrated with that, and then but eventually I was like, just keep doing this, because basically you can kind of. The way it works is, you've got a town board, and that's actually your Euro game part of it, where you're just worker placement, sort of. You have to move from one spot to the other, and they all give you a different thing, right? They give you different resources or money or new characters to put in your party, and you need those characters to do certain different things. They all have abilities on them that help you out, right? Well, you were hurting for money.
Yeah.
So you were hurting for teammates, to bring down. So I just kept I was showing you, like, look, it's not without hope. Just keep bouncing back and forth a couple of times to grab that money, to do this, to grab the money, to turn it into food, to whatever. And then you'll have something. And lo and behold, really quick, you had a bunch of money, Yeah,
so. But you having to point me in the right direction just really infuriates me. It just makes me angry.
But I think it was because also there's a element of blocking in that game where if you go to a spot, then
because you and Vaughn were always in the spots that I needed to be in to go get up my junk, or I had to like duel you, and then I was still gonna die, so I just had to stand there, and you and Vaughn just took over the whole board game.
Well, I think you were kind of leery to duel, even though dueling really it's not bad. It's just that I had built up a bunch of in order to take a space where someone else is at, you have to duel them, which is add up all your little symbols of swords and then roll a die and add that up. I just happened to pretty early get like 3 or 4 swords built up, so I was kind of hard to beat in those ways. And if you don't win the duel as the challenger, you don't get to take the action, so that's kind of bad. But it's built in that if you do that one turn, then you can go anywhere you want on the next turn without fighting anybody. So I'm really anxious to play it again because the book, having the quests and stuff that are in the book that you read out of and make choices, really cool, I think.
All in all, I liked it. Definitely want to play it again.
Yeah, so we need to get that one back out and play it. So that was Near and Far, designed and artwork by Ryan Laucat, Red Raven Games. And what's the next one on our list, babe? Far Space Foundry. We played that probably most recently of anything, a couple of nights ago. What do you think about that, babe?
I really liked that one. That one was super fun.
Explain a little bit about it while I look up the designer.
Oh, goodness. So we have like this home base place, and you have to like, first of all, let me explain to you people that I don't do well with names of games or names of things, so I apologize. So there is this home base thing, and you had to get like your little spaceship things over, and you had, in order to do that, and then you would get different color pieces, and you had to put them on your ship, and then you had to bring your ship back full of pieces back to your homeland. And then like the whole thing, like, and then
oh Lord,
and then you had to get all these, what are they called, freighters full of shit.
Yeah.
And so then whenever you were done with that, the board flips over, and then it's a whole different game.
And all you have is what you got in the first round.
Yeah, and it was real, like, it's makes your brain work so hard. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, I have such limited time to do all of this, and I need to have all of these pieces in order to get these robots and spaceships and stuff that I need to win and kick Ben's butt. And it's hard.
2 points.
1 point.
1 point.
I won by 1 point. Yes.
So basically, the theme of the game is you are a space mining company, and there's two foundries that you can go to. You can take your raw materials that you get from asteroids, and you take them with the little shuttles, and you put them on the factory, and it's got a certain set of actions that you can do. It works off a rondelle. So each spaceport that you can land at is numbered 1 through 8, right? Mm-hmm. And there's an 8-sided die that you roll that's the value of X, and you have cards in your hand that have numbers on them. And the numbers represent the cards represent the pilots, and the numbers are what port you're trying to land at. Well, the whole key to the game is you don't really want to play a card that's directly the number that's open and you can land there. You want to play a card that makes you go, like you play an 8 and the 8 is full. You have to keep going until you find an empty spot. And that's good because every spot that you pass that you can't land your freighter at, you get more raw materials from that asteroid. So that's the whole game, is like trying to manipulate this rondelle with your cards, and some of your pilots that you get have special abilities. And yeah, it's brain burning. Like, it's so simple. The rules are so simple, but man, it really, like, I liked it a lot because it's very simple. Honestly, it's just about how you can do the best with a very little.
First of all, I'm pretty sure I explained the game exactly the same way.
Yeah, just it's about thingies and spaceshipies, and I'm just trying to get a little bit more technical than that. So that's one thing you guys should know. Yeah, Lee will never learn the names of these things. It'll always be your little duty guys and your little thingamajiggers. But she will beat you at a game. So be wary if you want to criticize that. She's not as into this hobby as the rest of us, which makes me sad because then she can still just beat anybody at pretty much any game. So that being said, I really thought it was really cool because once you flip that over, then you're stuck with what you did. And if you didn't do very well in the first half, or you didn't know what you're doing, like we kind of didn't, and we looked at it and we're like, oh no, it just becomes every action is important. And the closer you get to the end of every round, the more every action counts. So thought it was really cool. Again, Lee won by 1 point. She got lucky. And and so that was Far Space Foundry, designed by Dan Manfredini, and published, I think it was published on Kickstarter by Terra Nova Games. And there's an expansion to that, but I'm trying to figure out, like, what would you need to add to that game? Like, it's already hard enough to do well. So anyway, that's Far Space Foundry. The last game we're going to talk about is Looney Quest by Asmodee, published by Asmodee, and is designed by some people that I will not be able to pronounce their name. Laurent Escovier and David Frank. Art is by Paul Meffione.
This is the drawing one, right?
Yeah.
So let's get real here. Ben and our daughter, she's 8 years old, her name is Lily, are artists. I can't draw a stick person with a straight line. It's impossible. Ben and Lily are fabulous artists.
Well, you have to have a circle to draw a stick person. Otherwise, they don't have a head.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's true, too. So I'm the butt of the art jokes at the house, which is fine because I obviously cannot draw. So this game, what was it called again?
Looney Quest.
Yes. This game is you have boards that one board that you share, and you have to pretty much connect the dots. But the thing is you have another board on each person has their own board, the same exact size as the board in front of you, and you have to on your board try to connect the dots without hitting all of these bombs and whatnot. So then you
on
take
a transparency,
on a
right?
on the transparent thing. So when you get done, you take off your little transparent thing and you put it on top, and then you look to see if you connected all the dots and if you hit the bombs and got the extra points and that kind of stuff. Mommy won.
Mommy won by, I think, 1 point again.
I don't remember that part. I think I won nicely.
But you
that
won,
time.
yeah. But here's the thing. Here's the caveat to that you won a drawing game. It's not a drawing game at all, really.
Oh, but it is.
It's a spatial relations game. So it's about judging your where you're at from a distance. There's no art talent needed in it. But
you're putting me down.
No, I'm saying you're great at spatial relations. I'm putting myself down. I'm not good at that. But we weren't really drawing anything. But I think it's a really cool game, and there's stuff in there like we played the first. It's set up like a video game with really cool artwork and stuff. So the idea is there's a level, 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 1-4, and then there's like a boss battle. So there's like a boss guy, and you have to draw around. Like in that one, you had to draw around like a flame, draw a circle around a flame, and then connect that flame to all these bombs.
Yeah, and you flicked that thing on my transparent page, and I couldn't, and it landed exactly where the flame was, and so I couldn't make the circle around my flame.
That's the best part of it. There's you're trying to avoid traps and stuff and bombs and walls when you're drawing your lines, but you can also grab bonuses, and you draw these bonuses off the top of the stack kind of blindly. And there's like a mosquito that you have to balance it on top of your pen while you draw. And there is a banana peel, which is what I did to you, which you have to throw, and it lands on the other person's transparency, and wherever it lands, they can't draw over that, so they have to go around it. So that was pretty cool. Lily, I thought Lily would be really good at it, and she was. The very first one she did excellent at, the very first stage. And then she loses interest fast in one of those games, and she's just kind of didn't understand what was happening after the first or second one. So I really liked it, and I'd like to try it again. So that's Looney Quest by Asmodee. All right, and that wraps up our What Did We Play This Week segment. We're going to move now into something that we thought would be important for the first episode to kind of let everybody know our gaming tastes and what we like and what we don't like. We're going to do a quick little top 3 or 4 games of all time for us. We've been playing hobby games for about 3 years now, so we have a lot of games under our belt. I've probably played 1,000 games in those 3 years, and Lee's played a lot too. I mean, I have almost 300 games, so she's played almost all of them. So Lee, why don't you give a little quick overview about yourself and then how we got into these hobby board games?
Okay, well, oh, goodness. Let's see. You and I met when I was 19, and we've been married now for 11 years and together for 16 years. We have a beautiful daughter named Lily. I think I already mentioned that before. And about 3 years ago, you came home and you were like, hey, how about you play this cool Dungeons and Dragons? And I was like, are you kidding me? Dungeons and Dragons, because like, everyone thinks of Dungeons and Dragons as like the nerdy boys from like the 70s that don't bathe and have long nappy hair and all that good stuff. And I was like, oh, for the love of Pete.
That's definitely true. That's just not the only people that play D&D.
So I gave it a try, and Lily actually named my characters, and so
She's good at that.
she
Really good
is. So Raquella, she was a paladin, and I still hold her very near and dear to my heart. Actually, we're getting ready to start up a new Dungeons and Dragons campaign with Vaughn, and I insisted if I was going to partake in this that I got to be Raquella again. Obviously, I can't have all of her strengths, but that was part of my prerequisites of playing. So, anyway, so Dungeons and Dragons kind of it put Ben and I together. So before that, we'd come home and he'd play on the computer, and I'd sit in front of the TV, and or do whatever with Lily, or he'd do whatever with Lily, and then that came around, and so now it's like, well, now we come home from work, and let's see if we can squeeze in 45 minutes to an hour of some kind of fight or something, and then evolved to Lords of Waterdeep. Like, what is Lords of Waterdeep? And that's what started the whole thing. And now 3 years later, you have 300 board games, and our man cave has turned into a board game cave, and and you go to Geekway, and but it's let us spend more time together, and so I'm thankful for board games.
Yeah, me too. I am. I'm a kind of guy that always. Well, first of all. I've been into games since I was a little kid. Like, I used to play, all the the regular games, like the mass market games and stuff. And I used to make a bunch of games when I was a little kid. Me and my cousin would spend, hours just cutting out little pieces and making our own board games. And they were all like Monopoly style, roll a die and move and do this and that. But I've always liked that. And then I got really big into video games, and I kind of burned myself out because it was a very lonely thing. You didn't really like to play video games very much. We would play, coincidentally, like Dungeons and Dragons board games, Baldur's Gate. Stuff like that. Maggie, hush. Our dog is getting crazy over there. That's our poodle, Maggie. If you hear grunting in the background, she's getting bathed by our other poodle. They're disgusting. So, anyway, Maggie's getting a spa treatment now, and... where was I? Yeah, we played like Baldur's Gate and stuff together, couch co-op games, but there's not enough of those to keep it going. And I just got burned out on that whole thing of just coming home and wasting hours doing it. And I, heard a podcast I got interested in Dungeons and Dragons somehow. I don't even remember. And I listened to a podcast. It's the Critical Hit podcast, which shout out to them. They were awesome. I think they're still going years later. And they're an actual play podcast. So you can kind of listen to them play, learn what role playing is all about, see that it's a really intricate thing, and then learn the rules all at the same time. And they were playing the new edition of Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition. That's what we started with. Then, like she said, we moved into board games. And the thing about board games I like is it's all the fun and strategy of video games, but you're forced to have social interactions. It's made me meet people that I would have never, ever, ever met before, and good people, and people that I have a lot of fun with.
So not just nerds with dirty, nappy, long hair that have BO.
Oh, most of them are nerds. I mean, but they're the right kind of nerds. I mean, you find out that board gaming is unilaterally, well, I won't say, it's not totally, but it's more successful people that I've found in this area anyway. In our gaming group, 417 Gamers, it's like people that have pretty much got their shit together, but they need the outlet. They need the outlet to relieve the stress. And for us, it's a weird thing. Like sometimes, you crunch numbers at work and stuff. And so sometimes you don't want to brain burn. But to me, it's the most relaxing thing, that sitting around, and it takes my mind off of everything else. And I have to focus on this one task on a board game. And that lets everything else go. And so to me, that's fun. So we're going to get into a few of the games that we've played over all these years now that have stuck around. We played all these games multiple times, which is not true for a lot of the games that I have. Some of them have been played once and will never get played again. And I've probably cycled out 150 games that we played once and, we knew would never come back to the table. So,
oh dear.
No, I still have that. That's on my list of my favorite games. So why don't you start us out, babe? Because I think the first one on our list we share. What is it?
Lords of Waterdeep.
That is not the first on my list.
Oh, shit. That sounds... Oh, wait. Oh, viticulture. Right, viticulture. Shit. Yes, I love me some viticulture.
So, Viticulture is by Jamie Stegmeyer and Stonemeyer Games. Jamie Stegmeyer's from St. Louis. When I met him at Geek Way, he's a really cool guy, and he designs awesome games. So, everything he puts out is really quality. So, go ahead.
Viticulture is literally about making wine. So for me, I'm a wine lover, and so of course I have to drink a minimum of 2 glasses of wine while I'm playing this glorious game. And so you have to plant your grapes, and you have to harvest them, and then you have to make them into wine, and then you have to sell them, and you get like work orders to sell them, and then you get all these different little cards per season, and it's just a fun game. Like, and you got those little hefes. Is that the right thing? Like the big Papa guys, little hefe guys, and and that's kind of fun. He's one of those big worker dudes. What are those
Why don't
things?
you let me explain this game, babe?
Okay.
So it's a. I mean, this is kind of my forte to teach games. So, how it's a worker placement game. And by worker placement, that is a mechanism used in many board games that you have a certain number of workers. And with those workers,
Here he goes. He has a real bad habit of being very long-winded when he explains games. Which is why Vaughn and I usually just kind of space off.
Your farm, or
I wonder how many steps I got on my Fitbit today.
Your winery, or aging your grapes and things like that.
He's still going.
And if one space is taken, then you can't take it unless you use your
work. I bet I have tons of emails waiting on me already at work.
And then you do that throughout the season.
Babe.
Oh, what happened?
Come on.
What's going on? Well, I'm teaching the game.
Let's wrap it up. You're so long-winded.
All right, that is what tends to happen when I'm teaching a game. I try to teach the rules, which for some reason in my household is verboten. Like, they don't want to know the rules. They think they can play games without knowing them.
Oh, I can.
So the whole time, no, you can't. I just end up answering all the questions, throughout the game instead of at the beginning.
I'd learn better that way. He's so long-winded. You don't understand. Vaughn and I will sit together, and Ben will sit across from us, and he will attempt to explain a game for 30 entire minutes. And occasionally I'll throw the man a bone, and I'll ask a question acting like I've been paying attention for the last 30 minutes, but I have not.
You don't even act like you're paying attention. You guys are over there talking.
Taking shots, not paying attention. Then he finally throws his hand down. Oops. Microphone just fell down. He throws his hand down. He's like, "Are you guys listening to me? Are you guys even paying attention to me?" We get scolded. This is the thing, people.
That's because it's a jerk move. When I play with real gamers, I don't have this problem. They want to know the rules before you start, because here's the problem. If I don't do that, then what happens is later on in the game, you say, "Well, you never said that was a rule. You're just saying that now because it works for you."
But the thing is
no, but you're not the only one. Everybody does that. Like, I play with people who, if you don't tell them every single rule in the game, then when it comes time for that, when that rule comes up, then they say, "Oh, well, if I would have known that, I would have done everything different. And why didn't you say that?" And I'm like, "I did say that. You weren't listening."
But it's not that we weren't listening. It's that we have it's a capacity issue. Like, you need to learn how to explain a game in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. It's all it needs to have.
10 minutes, I don't take more than 10 minutes hardly ever. You don't give me more than 2 minutes before you start. No, before you start doing that.
I'm totally going to time you next time.
Yeah. It's about 10 minutes is long if it takes that long. But anyway, that was just a little example of what happens when I try to teach a game. You be the judge. So, viticulture, for real, worker placement game.
Fabulous.
It's just, we learned that was a step up from Lords of Waterdeep, because we played Lords of Waterdeep so much.
Love it.
We love that game. And this is just like, those mechanisms, but taken to the next level. And we have the Tuscany.
With wine. We
have the Tuscany expansion, which adds in all this more stuff than you'll ever be able to actually play with. And, modules about making, like having orchards, or making cheese, and different kinds of grapes, and different kind of visitors, which are the cards you get, all these different things. And there's a legacy aspect of it where, every time you win a game and the person who wins is supposed to pick the next thing that you add in. Well, we've hit the point now where like adding things in is, I don't really think I want to add anything else. It's perfect the way it is. So if you're going to get this game, there's an Essential Edition out now, which adds in the best stuff from the Tuscany expansion. And I think, I'm not certain that it comes with the metal coins and stuff that come in there, but I know you can get them separately from the Stonemaier website. This is a must-have game, I think, if you're
Absolutely.
If you're a gamer and you like Euro games, if you like any kind of worker placement, if you like wine, hell, this is the game for you. So that's viticulture. That's on both of our lists. So you want to go ahead and move on to something else on your list?
Well, we already talked about Lords of Waterdeep. That's one of our.
Well, you didn't really talk about it.
I guess we didn't talk about it, but that's a mutual one. Do you want me to talk about one of my own?
It's not on my list, so.
Oh, I thought it was. Oh, I love Lords of Waterdeep. Was the first board game I actually played, and I think that's why I love it so much. It just kind of it's worker placement, and you have to use your brain. You have to figure out what the moves are going to be in the next round, and it has the black meeples. Are that what they're called, meeples? Mm-hmm. I always go for the black meeples. It's my favorite color, and very rare games have black meeples, and I love this game. It's so much fun. And
does it have black meeples?
It does, yeah, because I'm always the black meeples.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it is one of the factions.
Yeah, I mean, that's my favorite color.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
Why are you purple on our logo then?
Because I was afraid that if you put black and green, that people would think you were not with a female.
Oh, well.
And purple is my second favorite color.
Okay.
So I was trying to give you a heads up.
Well, I figured you would want to be the black
I know.
meatball,
I want to be the black meatball. So, and props to me that I remembered the word meeple, first of all.
Oh, yeah. It's only
Thank you.
the most common thing in board games.
Well, Anyway,
Very good.
Lords of Waterdeep, it's so much fun. And didn't we play with an expansion too? Yes, there was a whole little sideboard thing on there. And it's just a blast. If you like worker placement kind of games, totally recommend it. You'll have so much fun.
So that's Lords of Waterdeep, and that's published by Wizards of the Coast, and that's designed by, I should remember this.
He's
but
doing
I
this by
don't.
memory.
I do not remember it. I don't have the thing in front of me. He also designed a game I think it's designed by two people, but he also designed. He was a lead on Dungeons and Dragons for one thing, and he designed the Dungeons and Dragons game Tyrants of the Underdark, which is a deck builder that I also
The designer
really like.
is Peter Lee and Rodney Thompson.
Rodney Thompson, that's who I was thinking of. He's been at Wizards of the Coast for a long time working on Dungeons and Dragons, and I just really like most everything he designs. So that's Lords of Waterdeep. Now, second on my list is one of the earlier games that I played, and this is where we're going to start getting into games that I like and she hates. So, we're going to just throw in one game that we really hate on this list, and it happens to coincide that one of my favorite games is one of Lee's least favorite. What do you think that's going to be, babe?
Courtier.
Courtier, yes. Courtier is published by AEG, and it's designed by Philip Dewberry. He also designed Revolution and another game that I really like, which is Spirits of the Rice Paddy, which you haven't played, but I think you would really like. It's really cool. But Courtier is basically set in the Tempest City that was made up for the series of games that AEG did, starting with Love Letter, which you love Love Letter.
I love
right?
Love Letter.
So it's an extension. It's an extension off of Love Letter, the American version. It has the same artwork, which I think is one of the things that drew me to it is the artwork. It's beautiful.
It is very beautiful artwork.
It's got
do
like
agree.
a depiction of all these different courts in the city of Tempest, and so you've got you've got the military and the church and the artisans and the I don't remember what they're called, the laborers or something. And anyway, you're basically just trying to get influence on these people, putting out your color cubes, and there's sort of a public row of scoring cards that you can try to satisfy what's on them and score the points that's on them. So like if you have control of the military and the artisans and nobody has control of this other faction, then you can score that card.
What he really means to say is, I'm going to let your wife build up for this one move, and then one or two moves before she's ready to attack, I'm going to go ahead and take it and screw her. So this is a total screw thy neighbor game. And I don't dislike it without trying, people. I can't stress that to you enough. I tried this game 3 times. I think, okay, so twice. I lost probably the first time. I was like, okay, I like it, so let's play it again. And then I lost again the second time. I flipped the board. I despise that game. I despise it. It makes me so angry that every time I work up to make a move, a big move, that Ben comes in and sweeps up my move, and then everything I've done for the past 5 turns is wasted.
Well, it's interesting to me because that is sort of true, since they're, everything that everybody's going for is public and up for grabs for everyone else. But what's interesting to me is that there's a game that you really like, which is Splendor.
I love Splendor.
And I hate Splendor for the exact same reasons that you're saying here, only I think Courtier has actual strategy built in, whereas I don't think Splendor has any strategy other than hoard all the resources so that nobody else can
You don't
get
like
them.
Splendor because you don't ever win.
Well, could be said exactly the same thing for
But
Courtier.
I tried Courtier.
I've played
twice.
Splendor like 10 times, babe, with you,
Believe
even though I hate
me,
it.
I hear about it when you play
But you
Splendor.
won't even try Courtier anymore. And I hate
Hell
Splendor,
no,
but
I
I
ain't
play it.
trying that freaking game.
I hate Splendor, but I play it with you. Now, I will say that I found the Splendor killer, but I don't know that you will even agree. Everybody says so. It's a game called Century Spice Road that just came out, and I'm probably going to buy it tomorrow. But I have this feeling that even though it's unequivocally better than Splendor, and everybody that's played it says that it's got the Splendor mechanisms, but it's better and faster and everything else, you're probably not going to like it. I have a feeling you're not going to like it. But I'm going to get it anyway because it's cool. But that's Courtier. Courtier, I think, is just really cool. Now, I will say this, that I just got a game out of that same line, the Tempest line, called Dominaire, which I've wanted for a long time, and I played it once, and it might fire Splendor for me. It might fire Courtier, because it's kind of the same thing. It's area control more directly. Courtier is area control. It's just under the idea that you're controlling these people, these factions. Same thing in Dominaire, except for you're also putting out cubes all over this board that's areas of the city, and you're using those people as cards to play down for their special abilities and stuff. I think it's better than Courtier, but still, I played Courtier more times. It's one of my all-time favorites. So that's on my list. Why don't you give us another one on yours?
Is Mice and Mystics next?
Sure.
I love Mice and Mystics. It's so much fun. So I get bored very easily. And so we learned this in Dungeons and Dragons. And so Ben would create multiple characters for me that I would play. And so we did the same thing in Mice and Mystics. So I think I play three characters in Mice and Mystics at the same time. And I think you have two or three. And I enjoy the hell out of that game. And then to make it even more enjoyable, Ben, what was the name of that cat's name? Brody? Yeah. So there's this cat in this game, and Ben went out and he found clay and baking clay, and then he made a cat paw, and then he baked it, and then he took it out and he painted it to be the color of our mean cat, which is an orange cat. Elliot's such an asshole. So we would have named him Brody had we got Elliot before we got Mice and Mystics. I mean, absolutely. But anyway,
we did, but
yeah,
we should have named him that.
We should have named
We
him
thought
that.
he was a girl, is why he got named Elliot, because his name was Ellie first.
Ellie,
so,
yeah. Anyway, so so Ben enjoys this game as much as I do. He painted all of the miniatures, and to look exactly like they did in the artwork and the designs, and which are beautiful. The artwork is beautiful. And who is the designer? Of this?
Jerry Hawthorne is the designer, who's a really cool dude. I wouldn't say I know him, but I'm Facebook friends with him, and I communicate with him over there. He's from Dallas, where I grew up, and he's just a cool guy. He does. The story about this game is that the idea is that you're these medieval characters that get turned into mice by an evil sorceress, and you have to go around, and all the people have been turned into creatures in these villages and in the castle, and you've got to. So you're a little tiny, and there's a few big people left, and there's big animals left. It's this really cool mix. But the story of the game is basically that I believe it was his daughter, who's driving age now, but back when he designed it, she was having trouble reading in school, which we can relate to because our daughter is the same way. Super smart in some areas, but reading has been a struggle. and he decided to design this game because they like stories so much, and he wanted this to have a story component in the book, which it does. And he was designing it at the reading level where he thought his daughter could do it and be into
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and be into the story. So was the whole impetus for this game. And he was working with Plaid Hat Games, and they published it for him. And, he's done a couple of games in that series since then. He did Tail Feathers, which is like a miniatures flight simulating game where you're flying around on the birds and the little mice are riding them and stuff. So I think it's just really cool how he used that game to try to teach his daughter,
That's
how
really
to read
neat.
and stuff. And I mean, I think it worked, So for us, we've tried to get Lily to play it.
We have. There's a
She's
character
just-
named Lily. We thought we could have her play the character named Lily, and she still wanted nothing to do
Yeah,
with
she
it.
just she gets bored really fast with games, so she has a short attention span. So now I love Mice and Mystics. I think it's really cool. It's a slow burn. We've been playing it for like 2 years, and we're still not even through the first book. I've got like 2 other expansions that are.
I
already...
like that it has the audio capabilities too. That's really fun.
I bought the off of the Plaid Hat website. You can get Rich Summer from Mad Men, and he's a big time gamer. He has his own podcast called Cardboard, and he shows up on the Dice Tower podcast and stuff. He did read the entire book for the first box, and so we've got his recording, his professional recording of it. So we don't even have to read it because hey, we already know how to read. So that's Mice and Mystics by Plaid Hat Games. All right, I'm going to talk about one more really quick. It's fairly new. It's an abstract game called Tak, T-A-K, and it's published by Cheap Ass Games, and it's designed by James Ernest and Patrick Rothfuss, who you might recognize that name. He is the author of the King Killer Chronicles, and this game comes from that book series. It's mentioned not briefly, but it's like a part of the story, a pivotal part of the story, but they don't really go into detail about what the game is like. So these guys came up with this idea to create this game that fully flesh out the idea of this game. That was supposed to be the whole thing about it. It's called Tak, the Beautiful Game. That's the full name of the game, and in the book, that's what they call it. It's like it's the chess of the world, and it is that. It's a simplified version of chess. Basically, the whole idea is you play either on a 5x5, 4x4 up to 8x8 square board, and all you have to do is you have your color pieces, you have flat squares, and then you have one piece that's kind of like a queen, and all you do is place a piece out or move a piece every turn, and all you have to do is get all of your color from one side of the board to another in a line that's unbroken, and if you can do that, you win. So but you can stack pieces on top of each other. You can use that queen piece to cap a stack, or you can place your little square pieces standing up as walls to block the roads of other people. Pardon me. And the only way that they can get knocked down is by that queen piece. So it's in a very small, like I can teach it to somebody in 2 minutes, literally.
It was very easy to learn. I just sucked at it. But
you really only played it one time. It's not, your abstract games are never really your cup of tea. You have to have some kind of, you need more going on, I think, than just staring at a board and looking at it and thinking of your next move. I think that's not really your type of game.
No, it's not at all.
For me, right before I got this, I got Santorini, which is a lauded abstract game that's beautiful. The one where you're stacking up the buildings and you're moving your people and trying to climb to the second level. If you climb to the second level,
I remember
with the
that
whole
one.
really cool, it's got an island board and it's 3D and it's really awesome. And all these god power. I mean, it's an amazing game and I loved it. And right after I got it, like a week after I got Tak. Once I got Tak, I haven't played Santorini since. So I mean, that tells you it's such a simple game. But if I got someone who I know has the chess-like intellect or somebody who likes chess, then I'm like, hey, you got to try this out. This game is awesome. And everybody that I've done that with, has really liked it. So
I'm not that person for you, honey.
I'm not that big in abstract games usually, but this one really got me. And I will play this at any time, and I would play it for hours straight if I found somebody who would play it with me like that. So that's Tak by Cheap Ass Games. You got one, babe?
Yeah, that was it. That's all I had.
All right. You don't have another one, babe.
No. I mean, I can talk about more, but I don't have any prepared.
Well, I do have 1/2 more, which you can actually definitely talk about. It's kind of they're not the same game, even though they share the same mechanisms and they're published by the same company. It's Dixit and Mysterium, and I'll just throw them in together because I think Mysterium is just kind of the step up from Dixit. But Dixit, if you never played it, it's basically you get a hand of cards that have just far out artwork, like dreamscapes and trippy acid trip style, artwork. And your idea is that on your turn, you give a clue. It can be anything from one letter to like a song lyric to a title of a book. But the more specific you are, the worse it is. You have to know your audience. So you play your card down, and then everybody else looks at their hands and says, do I have a card that matches that clue? And if they do, they put theirs. Well, they do, whether they have one or not, they put their card down. And then everybody reveals their cards after they're shuffled up and puts them out in the middle, and everybody tries to vote on whose card was the person whose turn it was. And it's very simple, but it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a very good idea, and it's our child's favorite game. As a matter of fact, I have a special guest interview, and I'm going to cut to that right now. All right, and I'm here with who?
Lily.
Lily, you are my daughter, correct?
Yes.
Promise?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so. You never know with your mother. So, do you like to play games?
Yes.
You don't like all daddy and mommy's games, though, do you? No? What's your favorite game?
Dixit.
Dixit, huh? Okay, what is it about Dixit that you like so much?
I like the paintings on the cards because it has a lot of experience kind of stuff.
Experiences like kind of dream-like stuff? Yeah. Okay, and why do you think you're so good at it? Because you're pretty good at Dixit.
Because the people that's playing, I know them really well. So if they pick a card, I know which one it is because, of course, they're my friends. So I know what they would pick.
How they think, and you're pretty good at giving clues too, and not being too specific, like knowing who will know what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Me and you always do really well together, right? Mm-hmm. We get things that nobody else knows what's going on, right?
Yeah, like the time where my dad, he did a vampire because there was this man in a hat and you couldn't see his shadow, so yeah.
Yeah, there was something that was a guy in a top hat and he was walking upstairs and there was water underneath and you couldn't see his reflection or his shadow, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so I love Dixit and so do you, right?
Yep.
Thank you, Lily. This was a wonderful interview. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that was Lily talking about Dixit. Babe, what do you think about it?
I love that we played this game as a family. Being a Disney lover and a Tim Burton lover, I usually can use one of the two different kinds of any movie in either of those realms will explain any of the cards. So my cards are usually pretty easy to figure out which one I picked. Which one did mommy pick? Oh, the one with the mermaid tail, or So, but it's a fun game. I really do enjoy it. Yeah,
I love that. And then Mysterium kind of works off the same principle. You have these cards that are these far out, abstract pictures. They're not really abstract. They're just like mashups of all these different things. You got a rabbit.
They're very Tim Burton.
Yeah, they're very like a nightmarescape, or like Dixit's more of a dreamscape. Mysterium is more of a nightmarescape. It's a darker tone because the whole point of Dixit is that there's been a murder at this mansion.
Not Dixit.
Excuse me. Yes, Mysterium. The whole point of Mysterium is there's been a murder at this mansion, and one player plays the ghost, and they sit behind a screen and they kind of set up the game, and everyone else plays psychic investigators. So they're having a seance, trying to figure out that there was a murder, that's the ghost was murdered, and the ghost is trying to tell them who the killer was, clue style, the person, the place, and the murder weapon. And such an easy idea, just mash up two games that are already good, Clue and Dixit. And so the ghost on his turn, he knows each person has their own person, place, and thing that they've got to find. And then ultimately, there's one final person, place, and thing at the end. So the ghost is giving out these cards as clues. Supposedly he's like giving them dreams or visions of what's going on. And I just think it's so cool. I think it's fun being the ghost. I've played it once when I very first played it before the new edition came out. There's a new edition that came out by Asmodee and Libellude, I think, it's the same people that make Dixit. And it has a lot better components and like this screen and all the stuff that was in the first edition.
Wait, you played it once without being the ghost?
Yeah, I played it once without being the ghost with other people. There was a Polish edition that was called like Scherzefer Zabershek or something. And I played it, and it was the same game, but more stripped down, you know. Now you've got this big board or this big screen, which, you know, holds all the cards, and you've got the crow tokens and all this stuff that wasn't in the original. But basically it's the same game. And they've got that scoring where like you're trying to bet whether whenever everyone goes around and makes their guess every turn, they get their clue cards and they try to guess, you know, they put their token on or their little, they have crystal balls. They put them on if they think, their person, place, or thing, whichever part they're on. Then you vote. This is the part that's weird to me. Like you vote whether they're right or wrong and you get points based on that. I don't know that that's really necessary in that game, but it's a thing. And I don't know. I just think it's fun because we almost always win it. Like, you know, as the ghost, I almost always play the ghost. Actually, Vaughn's played the ghost once with us.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to teach people how to do it. That's the problem I have with it. I always end up playing the ghost. I like playing the ghost, but it's super hard to explain to somebody how to set the game up, you know, because it is kind of fiddly at the beginning to set up all the stuff. But other than that, I think it's really cool. What do you think?
I agree.
Final thoughts on Mysterium / Dixit?
Like them both.
All right. Well, I think that's... I didn't say the game that I hate. But I think I did. It's Splendor. That is my game that I hate. And here's why I hate it. I understand why other people like it, but I'm not dumb. I play a lot of games. I don't win a lot, but I can see why I didn't win a lot of times. And in Splendor, I don't think there's really a strategy that works. It's just a race game that also depends highly on luck about what cards come out and what's available to get at the time as far as the chips. And I just don't see any strat. Every time I try a different way to play it, nothing ever works.
You don't have to have a strategy with that game. I don't think they're supposed to be. And you're always, every time you play, you're like, oh, I'm going to try this new strategy for Splendor. Like it's some big brain game, you know, but it's not a brain game. It's just a light, fun game that's not meant to be taken like strategy games. And I think that's where you go wrong, because you go in it like, I am going to try this new strategy and I'm going to win this game, and then you don't win, and then you're like, my strategy didn't work.
That may be part of it too, is that there's not any strategy to it, so it seems like you're just going, to me, I'm just going through the motions. If I won, it would be a big accident, so I don't think I would be that excited anyway. Like at this point, I guarantee you, if I won a game of Splendor, I'd be like, yeah, so what? I still hate this game. Like, it's not going to turn me around, you know? So, I don't know. I see why other people like it. And hey, that guy that designed Splendor designed another game. I wish I had it in front of me, who the designer was, but I don't. But he designed a game called Barony that I played. That's brilliant. It's an awesome game. Like, it's really cool. So, it's not like, I don't think it's a bad design or even a bad game. Just for me, it's like, if I never played it again, it would be fine with me. So, that's the end of our faves and unfaves, least faves segment. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about our tastes, so that when we talk about games in the future, you'll kind of see where we're coming from. Now we're going to go into another segment called IRL. Oh, I might add some actual music in there so it doesn't sound so stupid, or I'll just remix that. Okay, so right now we're doing things other than playing board games. What? Who would have thought it? I don't know why we have to do that. Sometimes it involves cleaning up dog crap and yelling at our child for doing something that she's not supposed to do. But those aren't fun to talk about. So what is fun to talk about, babe? What are you doing in real life?
Oh, in real life. Well, 3 days ago, I convinced you to start a 30-day challenge, 30-day shred with, is it Jillian Michaels?
Mm-hmm.
That sucks.
I hate that woman.
Today's our third day. And so we're recording down in the man cave, which is our basement. And I was such a sight coming down the stairs because
Yes, you look like a 90-year-old.
my quads hurt so bad.
But you've been on a health kick for the last over a year
and a
now
half,
straight.
year and a half.
And I mean, you are in such good shape, which is funny to me because like we'll do other things. You'll convince me to work out and like you will just run me into the ground. But this, we're kind of on the same level. Like we're both acting like geriatrics as soon as it's over with because it's killing me.
It is. So that's a thing. So that's kind of fun. And that's really all I have for anything new right now. What about you, babe?
Well, we just got back a couple weeks ago from a big trip. We went down to Florida where you've got a bunch of family, and it was really our first family vacation that we've taken. You are a world traveler. You go all over the globe for your work, and, you know, so traveling is not that big a deal for you, but we don't ever travel together because my job, I pretty much worked for the last 8 years nonstop with like 1 day off a week, and I never really got time off. So when I did, it would be sporadic and we couldn't really plan anything. So now I've got guaranteed, you know, vacations and we can plan these things. So it also lined up with our daughter's dance troupe getting accepted to perform at Disney, which was awesome because, you know, you've been to Disney, you've taken her there before, but I didn't get to go. And so she's been to Disney World. That wasn't the craziest thing, but what the crazy thing was that she was going to get to perform there. And so they did that.
They did.
We made the trip, and we stayed with your aunt down there, who has an awesome house and a pool and all that. So it was like staying at a resort, but not having to pay for it, which was great. And, you know, it was just, we made that, you know, trip back and forth to Orlando from wherever it was, Cocoa Beach or Rockledge or somewhere. Right by Cocoa
damn
Beach.
Toll roads.
Yes, and we spent a fortune in tolls that we weren't expecting, and I really hated that. Oh, yeah, we've got a ticket, like, waiting on us somewhere.
I forgot it for 75 cents.
I know, we're going to get a ticket because I went through the auto pay, you know, like Fast Pass thing. Yeah, once you go through those, there's no getting out of it. So basically, you know, smile for the camera and wait for your thing. We had a rental car, so it'll probably take them about a year to catch up with us. But anyway, we drove that back and forth drive about 20 times, I think, going to practices and stuff at Disney. And then their performance came, and they did excellent.
Wonderful.
Like, they did like 5 or 6 songs on a stage at Disney Springs. And it couldn't have been better. Like it was supposed to rain the whole day, and you know it held off, and it was beautiful, and it was just it was like a once in a lifetime thing. So and then we got to go to Disney World, which did not impress me. But then we went to Universal, which was awesome.
Awesome.
I really loved that. I mean, it was what I thought Disney should have been. You know, as far as the rides, the technology. We went on the Harry Potter. Escape from Gringotts, which was amazing, and the other one, which was the Hogwarts actual tour of the castle. All in all, great trip. I did lock the keys in the rental car trunk.
Oh, on our morning we were leaving, 5 o'clock in the morning, we're getting in the car, and he's getting ready to pack up the very last bag of ours, and he's like, so where's the keys? I'm like, I don't know. You had them last. You got in the trunk last night. You should have seen his face. His eyes got so big. He's like, oh, I left him in the trunk. Oh, God.
And it couldn't have, like, okay, that sucks, right? But, you know, I bought the insurance and everything for the car. And I thought, yeah, no big deal. Like, well, I thought I can get it open because I locked my keys in every car I've ever owned. I was like, oh, I can get it open. And yeah, it's a good thing I didn't, because it turns out that we got the one car that has no other access in the trunk except for a button that's electronic on the inside, and it basically locks down if you open the door when it's locked, if you open the door from the inside, because the security alarm goes off and it locks down the whole thing.
So it is the worst car to get as a rental car.
Yeah, you can't get through the pass-through from the back, all this nonsense. So we're on the phone with everybody. They send out so I did try to do it, and I scratched up the car and all this. Hope that Enterprise is not listening. Please don't tweet them. But they told me when I bought the insurance that I could literally bring that car back with no wheels or doors on it, and then it was covered. So I didn't really worry about that. I was like, let's just get in this thing and go, because I felt like an idiot. But anyway, we waited for the locksmith, and he came, and I told him the situation about what they had told us about the lockdown, and he was like a little minx. He was fast. He opened the door and jumped over across the seat and hit the trunk unlock button before it locked down, and we got our keys, and we left about an hour and a half late. It was a little stressful start to the trip home, but ultimately, all in all, that was really the worst thing that happened. So, hey, I got to be the idiot of the trip. So that was fine.
So glad it wasn't me.
Yeah, Lee was probably right. She was very, very good about it, I think, because I would have probably not been as nice if she had done it.
No, not at all.
So anyway, that's kind of what's been going on here, and I've just been home and getting back in the swing of things. I had 2 straight weeks off, and it was hard going back to work, but then...
What do you do for a living, babe?
Well, I work for an unnamed government agency in which I basically run from rednecks and pit bulls all day long.
Oh, are you not allowed to say it?
I don't want to.
Oh, okay.
We'll figure it out.
Oh, okay. I buy light bulbs. That's what I do for a living, so that's interesting.
Yeah, but you get to fly all over the world doing it. So
I do.
That's pretty cool. So that's pretty much it for the in real life section. We're going to wrap up this episode and basically say thanks for listening, and this was just a trial run. We'll definitely iron out some kinks and try to get Leeandra not to knock over the microphone and slam on the table a lot. There's like a gnat or 2 flying around here, and she keeps swiping at them like an angry bear over there. So we're going to...
it's the first run, babe.
Yeah, we're going to iron out some kinks and get our format down, and I got a lot of editing to do now. So
Sorry.
We're going to let y'all go and have your lives back. We'll be back next episode and talk about some such other thing having to do with board games. That's a perfect sign off, right? We should say that every time.
Some
We're
such
going to talk
other
about
things.
some such other thing.
And it's patent.
Good day. All right. Bye, everybody. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks again for listening to the NSFWP podcast. You can find us on the web at nsfwppodcast.com and on Facebook and Twitter at NSFWP Podcast. You can also find me on Twitter at Meeple of Madness. Come on back next week for another great episode. See ya.